There comes a mysterious moment in life when the world around you begins to shift in ways you can't explain, and suddenly, you feel something calling you from within. Doors that were once sealed start to crack open, paths you didn't see begin to form, and a quiet certainty settles in your chest. Alan Watts would say this is not coincidence, but consciousness awakening to its purpose. When God chooses you, every circumstance, even those wrapped in struggle, bends in your favor. What seems like chaos is divine order rearranging itself so you can rise. And once that calling ignites, no force on earth can extinguish it. Those who are set apart often feel misunderstood long before they ever step into their destiny. People may question you, doubt you, even walk away from you, but that is part of being chosen. Watts believed that our separation from the crowd is the gateway to discovering our true nature. Isolation is not punishment. It is preparation. The friction you face is not meant to break you, but to shape you. While others cling to comfort, you are pulled towards something deeper, something sacred. And though you may not fully understand it yet, your soul recognizes its direction. When the divine selects you for a purpose, resistance from the world becomes inevitable. Life may challenge your confidence, test your patience, and strip away your attachments. But what stands against you cannot stop what was written for you. Watts often reminded us that the universe is not random. It is precise, intelligent, and intentional. Obstacles become teachers, delays become alignments, and setbacks become the very winds that push you closer to where you belong. The more you trust the invisible, the more the visible begins to shift. You might even feel unqualified, unprepared, or overwhelmed by the weight of your calling. Yet, this is the beautiful paradox of being chosen. God doesn't pick the perfect. He perfects the chosen. Your weaknesses become your wisdom, your scars become your strength, and every piece of your story, even the ones you wish you could erase, becomes evidence of grace. Watts taught that identity is fluid, forever evolving, and this transformation is not an accident. It's the precise design of something greater than your fear. So if you feel the pull, if the world seems to push against you, don't mistake resistance for rejection. What's meant for you will move mountains to reach you. No jealous voice, no closed door, no unexpected storm has the power to deny what heaven has declared. When God chooses you, destiny becomes inevitable, and everything in your life begins to break open, not to destroy you, but to make room for what's coming. There is a silent sign that appears when you are chosen, a subtle disconnection from what once felt familiar. Friends drift, old habits lose their comfort, and the world you knew begins to feel strangely small. Alan Watts described this sensation as the pull of becoming, where the universe gently nudges you out of the patterns that no longer honor your evolving spirit. This separation is not loneliness. It is divine distinction. You are being shifted away from the noise so you can hear the quiet voice of purpose calling your name. As life rearranges itself, you may feel misunderstood, even judged, by those who can't see what's awakening inside you. Watts believed that identity is fluid, always growing beyond the boxes people try to place us in. When God chooses you, He disrupts your environment, not to isolate you, but to elevate you. Those who can't follow are not meant to sit in the next chapter of your story. Their exit is not a loss. It is alignment. You are being given space to outstretch your wings. This path often begins with discomfort. The things you once accepted now feel unbearable. Mediocrity becomes suffocating, and your soul begins to reject anything less than authenticity. Watts would affirm that suffering is not a mistake. It's a signal. It tells you where your spirit refuses to settle. When purpose begins to stir within you, it shakes you awake from the illusion of complacency. You are not meant to fit in. You are meant to form the path others will one day follow. Those chosen by God frequently encounter unexpected obstacles, not as punishment, but as training grounds. Watts compared life to a dance. The steps that seem chaotic are, in truth, beautifully choreographed. Every setback becomes footwork, teaching you rhythm, balance, and resilience. Challenges sharpen your character, strengthen your faith, and expand your capacity to lead. Resistance is not opposition. It is sculpting. The diamond is only revealed through pressure. And through every shifting moment, the distance, the confusion, the solitude, something remarkable happens. Clarity begins to bloom. You start to recognize the voice of destiny whispering beneath the noise of fear. You see patterns in the chaos, meaning in the silence, truth in the uncertainty. That is the sacred mark of those chosen. Your life no longer feels accidental. It feels authored. And though the path is narrow, every step is guided by a hand wiser than your own. When God chooses you, life doesn't suddenly become easier. In fact, it often becomes more challenging. The chosen endure storms others never face because their purpose demands a deeper strength. Alan Watts would remind us that tension is essential for growth. Without resistance, nothing strengthens. What feels like spiritual warfare is often internal transformation. Your doubts rise, not to defeat you, but to reveal the parts of your spirit that require refinement. The chosen are not attacked because they are weak, but because they are dangerous to darkness. Watts spoke of polarity, that light cannot exist without shadow. Your calling shines so brightly that everything unlike it rises to the surface. This isn't life punishing you. It's life purifying you. The noise around you is confirmation. You are in motion. The enemy does not chase what is still. He targets what is destined. In these battles, you may question your worth, your capability, even your identity. But true purpose always begins with a question, not an answer. Watts believed that questioning is not confusion. It is awakening. Doubt is the doorway through which deeper faith enters. Every insecurity you face is an invitation to rediscover your strength. God isn't testing your weakness. He's revealing your resilience. As the pressure intensifies, you begin to shed any version of yourself that cannot carry what's coming. Old fears fall away. Toxic relationships lose their grip. Habits that once numbed you no longer satisfy. This pruning is painful, but it is divine. Watts would describe this as the dissolution of the false self, the layers built from fear, approval, and survival. The chosen must lose who they thought they were to discover who they were born to be. And slowly, you begin to realize something extraordinary. Every battle has been building you. Every sleepless night, every doubt, every disappointment has strengthened your spirit beyond measure. What once broke you now becomes your wisdom. What once scared you now becomes your testimony. The chosen do not escape the fire. They walk through it. And on the other side, they emerge unshaken, unafraid, and unmistakably chosen. There is a moment in every chosen journey when life becomes unusually quiet. Doors stop opening, calls go unanswered, and progress seems to pause. To many, this silence feels like abandonment, but Alan Watts would argue the opposite. Silence is not absence, but incubation. Purpose requires stillness the way seeds require soil. Nothing visible may be happening, yet beneath the surface, roots are forming, depth is developing, and strength is building where no one can see. In these hidden seasons, God strengthens the foundation so your destiny won't crumble under the weight of your blessing. During this silence, people may forget you, opportunities may fade, and the world may move without noticing your absence. But the chosen are never truly forgotten. Watts believed that life's pauses are deliberate. The universe retreats from noise so you can hear yourself again. Your identity detaches from applause and approval. And in that solitude, you rediscover who you are without titles, expectations, or validation. This is where authenticity is born. This is where the false self dissolves and the true self emerges. It's in this quiet where your faith is tested the most. You cannot see the map, you cannot predict the timing, and you cannot understand the reasoning. Yet, this is where the chosen learn to trust. Watts taught that certainty is an illusion, and fear arises only when we cling to control. When you release the need to know, fear loses its grip, and peace finds its home. The silence becomes sanctuary, not punishment, a sacred pause before acceleration. In this stillness, your soul begins to hunger for meaning beyond the material. Old desires lose their flavor, and deeper truths begin to call. Watts often said that boredom is simply the threshold of revelation. When the mind grows tired of distraction, the heart finally speaks. You become aware of your deeper longing, not to be seen, but to be significant, not to be noticed, but to be aligned. This craving cannot be satisfied externally. It is a summons from within. And as the silence deepens, something miraculous happens. The noise inside you begins to quiet too. The judgments, the comparisons, the timelines, they dissolve. What remains is clarity. You begin to see that being chosen is not about racing ahead, but rising at the right moment. And though the world sees inactivity, the truth is simple. God is not delaying you. He is developing you. As your spirit evolves, your environment begins to respond. People who once resonated with you suddenly feel distant. Conversations that once energized you now drain you. Even places you once found comfort in start to feel unfamiliar. Alan Watts described this as vibrational mismatch. When your inner frequency elevates, anything not aligned is naturally repelled. It's not rejection, it's energetic refinement. The chosen are called to ascend, and elevation requires separation. You may feel guilty watching relationships fade or habits crumble, but remember, growth creates distance. Watts believed that clinging to what no longer serves us is the source of suffering. You are not responsible for shrinking so others can feel comfortable. When God chooses you, He removes anything that would anchor your wings. Those who cannot journey with you are released, not because they are bad, but because your destination is different. This shift often triggers resistance from others. They may question your choices, misunderstand your silence, or mock your transformation. But Watts reminds us that people fear what they don't understand, especially the awakening of someone who refuses to stay asleep. The chosen threaten the comfort of the complacent. Their growth exposes stagnation, their courage reveals fear, and their authenticity dismantles illusion. Do not expect applause while shedding the skin that others are afraid to take off. As your environment shifts, so do your desires. Superficial success no longer impresses you. You crave meaning, peace, depth. Watts taught that longing for external validation is the greatest trap. The chosen transcend this hunger. You begin to pursue purpose, not praise. Fulfillment, not fame. Alignment, not attention. This inner shift creates a gravitational pull, drawing opportunities that match the new frequency of your soul. And slowly, you realize that the world around you isn't shrinking. You're simply outgrowing the room you were once comfortable in. The walls you felt pressing against you are not confinements, but indicators. You are too expanded to stay small. Everything leaving your life is clearing space, not for something lesser, but for something promised. Because when God chooses you, even your environment must surrender to your destiny. When destiny calls, it does not arrive without responsibility. Being chosen is not merely about blessings, it's about burden. Alan Watts often spoke about how life balances itself. With every gift comes a task. With every privilege comes accountability. The chosen are entrusted with experiences not to break them, but to mature them. You may find that you carry burdens others never see, pressures others never feel, and battles others would crumble beneath. This heaviness is not accidental. It is preparation. The weight shapes you into someone capable of stewarding what's coming. As you walk this path, you may feel the sting of misunderstanding. People will question why you're so serious, why you're always evolving, why you cannot simply be like everyone else. But Watts believed that individuality is not rebellion, it is alignment. The chosen can't blend in because their spirit resists stagnation. You are being called to rise above patterns that have trapped generations before you. Your growth is not personal, it is generational. Your choices break cycles. Your courage opens doors. This responsibility creates an inner tension, the push between who you were and who you are becoming. There will be moments when quitting would be easier than continuing, when silence would be simpler than speaking, when comfort would be safer than growth. But Watts taught that life's purpose is not comfort, it's awakening. The chosen are often stretched until they find strength they never knew they possessed. They are refined by pressure, not crushed by it. In these moments, doubt becomes a familiar voice. You may question whether you are worthy of the calling on your life. But the chosen are rarely the confident, they are the called. God does not select the perfect, He perfects the selected. Your imperfections are not disqualifications, they are invitations for grace. The weight you feel is evidence that heaven sees you as capable. What would say that the tree that bears the most fruit faces the strongest winds? And through this responsibility, something sacred emerges: humility. You learn to lead without arrogance, to grow without comparison, to rise without stepping on others. This humility anchors you, so destiny doesn't inflate your ego. The chosen are elevated not to stand above others, but to lift others alongside them. The weight you carry becomes the wisdom you share, and that wisdom becomes the blessing that multiplies. After seasons of silence, separation, and preparation, something extraordinary begins to shift: acceleration. Things that once took years begin to unfold in weeks. Prayers you thought were forgotten suddenly echo back as answered reality. Alan Watts believed that when our inner world becomes aligned, the outer world rearranges itself effortlessly. This is not luck, it is resonance. Your internal frequency finally matches the outcome you were destined to receive. Acceleration feels surreal. Opportunities appear without force. People arrive without searching. The pace quickens, doors open, and what was once difficult now flows with ease. What would compare this to surfing? You cannot create the wave, but when you're positioned correctly, you ride it effortlessly. Your previous struggle was never about lack of potential. It was about timing. Destiny arrives not when you demand it, but when you're ready to steward it. Even in this momentum, you'll notice tests, not to hinder you, but to confirm you. Will you remain humble while rising? Will you remember your lessons while winning? Will you honor the path without forgetting the pain? Watts taught that the ego loves to hijack success, but the awakened soul treats success as service. Acceleration is not a reward. It is a responsibility to remain grounded. During this surge, jealousy may surface from others. People who ignored you now seek access. Those who once doubted you may return with admiration. Watts would warn that every light attracts both seekers and moths. You must discern who comes to grow with you and who comes to feed off you. The chosen learn to protect their energy, not from fear, but from wisdom. And as acceleration intensifies, clarity becomes undeniable. You were never waiting for your moment. Your moment was waiting for you. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was training disguised as struggle. Now, the winds of destiny have caught your wings. And once the chosen begin to rise, no hand, no voice, no obstacle can slow what God has already set in motion. As your destiny unfolds, something unexpected emerges: resistance from the world around you. People may whisper, question your motives, or even mock your transformation. Alan Watts often spoke about the discomfort others feel when someone awakens while they remain asleep. Your growth becomes a mirror that reflects their stagnation. Not everyone celebrates evolution. Many fear it. And so, their resistance is not about you. It is about what you represent. The chosen carry the burden of being misunderstood because their presence exposes the limitations others refuse to face. In this tension, you might be tempted to shrink yourself to avoid attention. But Watts would remind you that shrinking does not bring peace. It brings suffocation. When God chooses you, He does not do so quietly. Your light is meant to be seen, not hidden. And though your glow may irritate the eyes of those in darkness, it is not your responsibility to dim. The chosen are not called to minimize their gift, but to maximize its impact. Resistance is merely confirmation that you are on the right path. As opposition rises, you may feel the old urge to justify, defend, or explain yourself. But Watts believed that explaining truth to those unwilling to understand is like shouting at the wind. Your purpose is not to convince. It is to become. The more you rise, the more comfortable you become with silence. You learn that validation is a cheap substitute for authenticity. When God appoints you, no human approval is required. Your growth is between your soul and the divine. This resistance also reveals the true shape of your character. Will you crumble under criticism, or will you anchor into your identity? Will you bend to fit the expectations of others, or will you expand beyond them? Watts taught that the self is ever evolving. To remain static is to die spiritually. As the chosen, you must outgrow the version of yourself that seeks comfort in conformity. The world's resistance is the pressure that strengthens your resolve. And through it all, something profound becomes clear. The louder the resistance, the greater the assignment. No one throws stones at fruitless trees. The opposition you face is evidence that there is value growing within you. And once you realize that, the attacks no longer scare you, they assure you. The world does not resist the ordinary. It resists the extraordinary. There's a moment when all the pieces suddenly make sense. The silence, the storms, the shifts. You begin to see that nothing was random and nothing was wasted. Alan Watts taught that life is a tapestry woven with threads of both shadow and light. When God chooses you, He weaves your story with precision, knowing that every thread serves a purpose. The pain becomes wisdom. The waiting becomes patience. The loss becomes clarity. And the wait becomes strength. What once felt like punishment now feels like preparation. As this clarity settles in, you realize you are no longer the person who began this journey. You have shed identities, healed wounds, released limitations. Watts believed that awakening is not a destination, but a transformation of perception. You see life differently now, through the eyes of purpose rather than fear. And in this awareness, pressure turns into power. The chosen carry a fire within them that cannot be extinguished by circumstance. You begin to attract what resonates with your true self. Relationships align effortlessly. Opportunities find you without force. Your steps feel guided, your decisions feel intuitive, and your spirit feels lighter. Watts spoke of this as harmony, when the inner and outer worlds reflect each other. You no longer chase your calling. You embody it. This embodiment is the true blessing of being chosen. It is not what you receive, but what you become. As you stand in this new identity, you no longer wrestle with doubt or fear. You trust. You surrender. You flow. The divine orchestration becomes obvious. Every closed door protected you. Every delayed answer matured you. Every silent night deepened you. You now hold wisdom that cannot be taught in comfort, only learned through experience. And because of that, you walk with a quiet confidence rooted in truth. And so, you become everything your past self prayed for, not by forcing destiny, but by allowing destiny to unfold. You realize now that when God chose you, nothing and no one could ever stop what was written. The storms didn't defeat you, they defined you. The resistance didn't block you, it built you. You are not successful despite the journey. You are successful because of it. The chosen do not arrive by accident. They arrive by alignment. There comes a moment, after the storms have settled and the silence has taught its final lesson, when you look back and finally understand. Every barrier was a bridge, every delay was a design, and every burden was a blessing in disguise. Alan Watts would say that life did not happen to you. It happened through you. The divine current carried you forward even when you resisted, even when you doubted, even when you didn't feel worthy. And now, standing in the clarity of who you have become, you see that being chosen was never about privilege. It was about purpose. All the voices that tried to discourage you, all the circumstances that seemed to conspire against you, were merely shadows cast by your own rising light. Watts believed that resistance only confirms movement. Darkness appears when you step into the sun. Nothing and no one could stop your ascent, because your destiny is not rooted in human approval, but in divine intention. Each challenge refined you. Each heartbreak deepened you. Each rejection redirected you towards something greater than you ever imagined. Now, you carry the quiet confidence of someone who has walked through fire and discovered they do not burn. The weight that once bent your shoulders has become the strength that straightens your spine. Watts taught that identity is not found in comfort, but in chaos, in the moments when life strips away everything you thought you were, until only truth remains. And that truth is simple. You were always chosen, not because you were flawless, but because you were willing. As destiny continues to unfold, remember this: the choosing never stops. With every new level of growth, more is asked of you. More courage, more trust, more surrender. But fear no longer controls you, because you've learned that the unknown is not a threat, it's an invitation. You now move with the rhythm of the divine, dancing with the flow of existence instead of clinging to the illusion of control. And in that dance, Nothing can derail what is written for you. And if this message aligned with something deep in your spirit, if it reminded you that your journey has meaning, that your storms have purpose, and that your steps are guided, then take a moment to stay connected. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share in the comments what part of this truth resonated with you the most. Your voice strengthens this community. Your story inspires others walking the same path. Because when God chooses you, your testimony becomes a torch, lighting the way for those still learning to see.